Hello.
Hey, what's up?
So, Joe, yesterday you came to me with an idea because you wanted to rewatch. What was the show called again?
Oh, geez, I could not remember it when we were talking about it. I was like, zombie mushroom people. And then you knew after that I said
It was
that.
The Last of Us. Yeah.
It's The Last of Us, yeah. And I don't know why I couldn't pull it. I think it's because I'm old. But season two is about to come out, and I was like, season one's rock. I said to myself, season one is rock solid. It's awesome. Uh, every episode is worth rewatching, so I'd love a refresher. And as I was watching episode one today, I was like, oh, I don't remember a lot of this season. But yeah.
So simultaneously, I've been listening to this podcast for *Halt and Catch Fire*. It's a *Halt and Catch Fire* rewatch podcast. The woman who is the host, she is the keynote speaker who has this thing called "Take the Donut Challenge," which means seize the day in her language. So she issues herself a take the donut challenge every year, and that I think was last year was to do a *Halt and Catch the Fire* rewatch podcast. So in that vein, we are doing a Last of Us rewatch podcast.
An easier challenge. How many episodes of *Halt and Catch Fire* are there?
Yeah, there's like 40 episodes of *Halt and Catch Fire*, and
Yeah.
there's like how
That's a
many episodes of
challenge.
Last of Us?
Fewer than a dozen donuts, that's for sure.
And although I don't think she does this in her podcast, I've only listened to like a few episodes so far, but like I have my own donuts.
Yes. Ooh, is that a Boston cream?
It is a Boston cream, yeah.
Nice.
Coincidentally, I'm also wearing a donut related shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh no. Why did I go like this? Oh no. I tried to look over the edge of the computer. Impossible. I bought an apple fritter for my daughter, and she ate most of it, but left me this because she knew I was going
Okay.
to be talking tonight. So I'll enjoy that. Are we going to eat it while we're talking?
I mean, we have to, right?
We have to. I mean, it's terrible, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be the sounds of chewing and swallowing.
No one likes them.
So I'm going to take a bite right now, actually.
I'm going to break it into time. I'll talk while you're biting.
Okay.
I'm going to break it into tiny little pieces so it's easier to eat. I really enjoyed Last of Us when it was on. It feels like it's been a long hiatus in between seasons. Is that right? Or did it end like a year ago?
I think it came out in 2023, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So
Because I think it is like, because they say in the show it is 2023 in the present day stuff, which is the future from the beginning of the first episode of the podcast or the episode of the series. So,
the eating is already killing us.
well, so I thought, like, as I was watching it, I thought it was interesting that, like, it's the two of us doing this because you did a movie webcomic, I did a video game webcomic, and it's kind of like a marriage of those two.
Worlds collide, of course. Yes, this is it. We should also say that you played through the game, but I did not.
Okay, I was going to ask you that if you had played through any of the game.
No, it's too creepy. Like, I'm okay watching creepy, but if I'm in control of the main character, like, I'm just afraid what's going to happen to him. I don't want him to get hurt. And if I'm in control, bro's going to die. There are several times in this episode where I was like, I would have died. I'd be dead. Death.
I mean, it's just a part of the game. I mean, you come back in the show; they don't come back. Well, I mean, like you just start over from the checkpoint.
All right. Just like real life. No.
Just like real life.
I took notes, and my first note is old lady tweaking.
Yeah. So like, it's interesting because like so much of like I would say like there's like 10% new stuff in the first episode that is not in the game.
Oh, so all that's in the game with the daughter and like the neighbors and the
Not the
muffins.
neighbors.
Okay.
But, like if you think about it, like anytime like Joel's not like on screen, it's probably not like in the game because you're controlling Joel most of the game, and then like they don't do like shifts in perspective like that generally.
Well, this is interesting then because the main character in the first episode is almost, what's the daughter's name?
Sarah.
Sarah. I feel like it follows her more than him.
Definitely for the first part. And I will say, does the game does follow Sarah at the opening part of that, like the game,
Okay.
and like so like thinking about the game, like when the advertisements for that game came out, like they're like it's very much like Joel and Ellie in on the cover and
Yeah.
whatever. But when the game opens, you control Sarah for a little bit.
You're like, who is this weirdo?
No, but like you're like, oh wait, but you do see Joel, but you don't see Ellie yet. But you're like, oh wait, it's Joel and Ellie. Poor Sarah. She not she not surviving.
R.I.P. Sarah. And true to form, she does not survive this either. This was a clearly a double episode, right? Like it's just in length, it's a couple hours long.
Yeah,
But I feel like as it was rolling over into that second part, I found myself remembering at the time, like they merged them together, and there was a reason because there was so much stuff that they had to cover. Like for The Last of Us, what do they need to give audiences in the first episode? Like what's a list of things they need to get? Like we need to meet Joel, we need to
yeah,
meet Ellie, we need to see before the disaster, and then we need to see the disaster, or we
yeah.
need to see like the monsters.
You kind of need to know what the infection is.
Right. And you need to meet Ellie, like I said, but you also need to like it's important to find out in the first episode that like Ellie, like the whole thing is Ellie's immune. Do you think they covered that in these first 2 hours?
I mean, I think that they lay it down pretty good. Like the opening, which is like not even a part of the game, like not even in the world of the game, where it's a talk show in like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
Big Head from Silicon Valley.
So weird, right? Like we're supposed to pretend it's not Big Head.
But they like it's a really good introduction about the infection, the cordyceps that they use for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Because like I don't, I honestly don't really know how. I guess it's probably through like exposition in the game, like about cordyceps, and you like pick up like notes and things like that about like how like the life cycle of the cordyceps. But
Okay.
like the I thought it was really effective, especially when it came out because it was 2023, and like I mean, COVID was started in 2020. We're still not like
Yeah.
fully like back yet, and like we're talking about like pandemics.
Yeah. And how global warming triggers it. Um, yeah, it was that cold open is amazing. Um,
Yeah,
it's such a great way to enter the show. And they do another one later on. I mean, we'll talk about it if we watch that episode and continue doing this, but with the expert. Do you remember like there's one where they speak to an expert? Yeah. So
yeah.
that one's great too.
And
Um,
by the way, we probably should have said this up front, but like spoilers
for
all around.
everything. Yeah, for everything up that covers up until the end of season 1 and I guess the end of the first game because season
Yeah,
2 is going to be
yeah.
all the second game, right?
Uh,
But
but
oldly
like,
speaking, that's the first thing that spoke to me. When she's in the at the neighbor's house and in the background, the old lady's like her
yeah.
she's tweaking. It's weird.
So like I was thinking about this, and like in the game, it's different how people get infected.
Okay.
So like I think in the show, it is you have to get bitten.
Okay.
I think. Well,
I
I
mean,
think they
old
they
lady
they clarify
later
it
is
later.
like she's like mouth.
Yeah, but like you have to get infected somehow.
Right.
And I think it's getting bitten. But like in the game, it's like you can be like in an area with a lot of spores and you can breathe it in and get infected.
In the game, is there ever a tray of, or is there an old man saying, "Would you like some muffins?" And then you eat those, and then or biscuits. I guess he was having biscuits, and that's. I mean, the show is so great in terms of like pancakes and biscuits and
Yeah.
like the whole like how it's everywhere and the yeast or the spores and or the whatever. Like it's definitely planting those seeds right away, which is so great.
Yeah.
But Joel doesn't eat the pancakes.
Yeah.
I don't even like pancakes.
No Atkins.
So great first half. Like it is split into halves, the before and after, the 20-year jump in between. That first half flies. Like I couldn't believe it was an hour. It goes by so fast and it's all good. It has that crazy oneer.
Yeah.
It is like a fake oneer, right? Like
I'm
where
sure it is. Yeah,
yeah.
it's really long.
It's so great. Like every bit of that is awesome.
it's also interesting because like that does kind of mimic the game because you are in like Sarah's perspective at that point in the car in the truck, and like you can control and like look around and like look behind you, in front of you, and all that stuff. So like it kind of mimics that.
That's really cool. And then it leaps forward 20 years and we meet a okay, so in all that, Sarah does die,
Yes,
and Joel's a mess, and his watch is broken. His beautiful watch that she
just
fixed.
got it fixed.
Yeah, this thing was ticking for 12 hours. Now it's gone. But then we fast forward to the future where we meet the little kid uh, who's trying to enter Boston. Do you think you would have survived that long? Like, would you have made it? Like you now, you who you are, would you have lived the 20 years? Would you have been able to ingratiate yourself in a city?
So it's I think in the game they just kind of describe it as like all the cities kind of quarantine themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So I would have like I don't think Wilmington is going to be a quarantine zone. I think the closest one would be Philly.
Yeah. And do you really want to spend the rest of your life in Philly?
Would I be able to make it to Philly from here, given the roads and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of like a 3-lane highway up to Philly from where you are. So like
Yeah,
it's not far, but everyone would be trying to get there, right?
yeah. I mean,
What are your backup cities?
I mean that's the closest one.
Yeah. The
How
closest one
about
to
you?
me would be, I mean, New York, but even though I'm closer to Trenton, which I think Trenton would classify, but no one's going to New York. No one's like, no one's saying, oh, the world's ending. People are turning into monsters and eating each other. I'm gonna cuddle, huddle up in
This is
the,
the most populated city in the U.S.
yeah,
Sure.
where there are literal skyscrapers of monsters. No, I think I go rural. I think I get in the car and I drive as far west as I can into Pennsylvania and try to find a spot. Right?
Yeah, I feel like a few hours into because we've done that drive before,
Yeah, it's not that bad.
like going to Chicago, basically passing through all of Pennsylvania. Like a couple hours out, you're pretty rural areas, I think.
Yeah, and it would be. I mean, there'd be more spores, but there'd be less people.
Yeah.
So if you do turn into one of the monsters, at least you're not eating people. Is that a good way to look at it?
I mean, I don't know. At that point, I can't remember like if they touch on this later on in the series, but like, are you still you after you get infected?
Like, do you have memories, or are
Yeah,
you
because
aware?
like even in the prologue with Big Head, the brother from the Mummy,
It's too bad that that third guy didn't do anything. But yeah, the brother from the mummy.
he starts talking about like and I think this is an actual like fungus that like infects ants.
Yeah, I mean that's what he was talking about. And I remember at the time when it came out, those videos were out in circulation online. Like there are time lapse of video of ants just kind of like, you know,
Yeah,
peeking. I think I said
yeah.
earlier.
But like because he talks about like like the hallucinogenic effects of that and like taking over. Like, at what point do you not become you anymore? Like, if you're just newly infected, I don't know if you can. You probably still are
Maybe.
at least in part you,
Okay.
but the further you get, probably the more it is like cordyceps.
What's great about the Last of Us universe is that there are different stages. So as we are introduced to those later in the series, we can say maybe this is the turning point. Maybe full bloom head is the turn. I mean, they have real names, but like maybe giant crazy monster is. But okay, do you think the first the first time we get a real good look at one of them is when there's one attached to the wall, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Joel and Anatov, who plays
S.
Tess,
Yeah.
they're sneaking around underground and they find one. And do you think that that one is still aware?
I don't because that guy looks pretty dead.
Yeah, no, Brawl is dead.
So like, and I like because when you mentioned the kind of like the life cycle, like I don't know where it actually it might be like I don't know if can I should I talk about the life cycle of the
Yes,
because it's
please.
spoilers, right? We're doing
Yeah,
spoilers.
yeah.
So like the first the first stage is kind of like just getting infected. You're kind of like a zombie, like a fast zombie kind of thing.
Right.
Then like the infection spreads to your brain, and then your head explodes. Basically,
Stage 2 to your brain.
they're called clickers.
Okay, that's stage 2. The head explodes in stage 2?
That's stage 2, yeah.
Bro, that's rough. Alright,
Because like
stage
at that point, like you can't see because you don't have eyes anymore.
oh
Like
my god.
so they use the clicking sound to like echolocate
Right.
people or things.
Stage 3, they grow a trunk.
Stage 3 is the bloater. So like that's I think you see a bloater like in I forget what town what city it is. It
Is it?
was
I
it
think it's
was Pittsburgh in the game. I don't know if it's still Pittsburgh in
right.
the show because I think they changed locations. But like that's the first time you see one in the show, and it's a giant like kind of he's bloated. He's a giant like thing that like in the game he throws spores at you.
Do they explain in the show, I can't remember, how they become that? Like, do they explain that it blows apart their head? Do they explain that the bloaters are the bloaters because whatever?
Well, I think the bloaters are like there aren't a whole lot of bloaters because like the bloaters are like clickers who have just lived a really long time.
Okay.
And I don't know how they get so big. I think they may just be full of spores at that point.
So gross.
But the going back to episode 1, that the guy on the wall that exploded might be in between the clicker and the bloater
Oh,
because like he might have exploded at that point.
wow. Okay. Later on, we'll see a classroom where people are teaching children underground. And it's not in this. I'm already talking about the future, which is crazy. But when we get to that, I'm going to take an extra closer look at the walls and see if they have a chart. Like, not here's the life of a frog, tadpole to
Yeah.
whatever, or eggs to tadpole to whatever. We're going to see right between bloater and clicker. I'm going to keep a sharp eye out for that. Great scene with that little kid though, where he go they make it into town, they run a quick test, and they're gonna like, you're gonna have the best meal of your life. You're gonna have all the things you want to do. You know,
Yeah.
there's a unicorn, and he's
Yeah.
what should he be named?
You have so much candy just lying around. It's
And
gonna be
then
awesome.
and it cuts to Joel who's working, and then there's like 2 or 3 minutes, but eventually you see the body of the kid. It should have been a smash cut.
Yeah.
It's getting a big smile appears on the kid's face, and then boom, he's in a pile of bodies being tossed into a fire.
Yeah. So I remember thinking, like, while rewatching that scene, is that like I'm surprised with how scarce all like supplies are. They didn't like take off our shoes.
Yeah, right? Like, save some stuff. It's been 20 years, and the thing that struck me the most about that town is they were painting over the graffiti, and I was like, they have cans of paint still? Like, not that anyone's like, well, we survived the zombie apocalypse. The
Time to
fresh
paint my
coat
shed.
really freshened things up a little. I've been meaning to change this to blue. But I remember, I was watching it thinking, like, how do they have paint? But you're right. They should have removed, I mean, they should have removed everything, to be honest.
Yeah, but then it's just then you can't show that on HBO.
Not even on HBO can you show nude children. Good, right? Keep it up, HBO. You're doing God's work. uh, and I'm serious about the smash cut. Like, it would have been amazing, but you know, uh, by Joel is conflicted, and that's a great character moment. And he's a mess in this future, and so this whole second half is about them trying to get a way out of the city. They want to leave, right?
Yeah. So like you find out that Joel has not heard from Tommy, his brother, in a while. So like he wants to get a truck and drive out to Tommy wherever he happens to be. I think it's Utah, I want to say.
Okay. I remember Tommy in the first half of the episode. He's in the first half, and he bounces back real hard from being the absolute worst to essential, like
Yeah.
a lifesaver. Uh, but I mean, credit to Joel, who's like, he's really motivated. I don't think I could go. Like, I don't think I could if I was in a town that was quote unquote safe. I guess
Hmm.
it depended on who it was. Would you travel across the country for me?
I mean, where are you?
I'm like, oh wait, like right now we're like how far? We're like an hour to drive, hour and maybe 2 hour drive from each other at the most. Would you go
Yeah.
that far?
That's like it's probably at least a day's trip, maybe day
Yeah.
and a half
Yeah.
on foot.
On foot? No, it's like a week. Right? I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know.
We're talking
I have
about
no
walking
idea.
down the New Jersey Turnpike. Like, I don't know if I had. I'll tell you what. I'll start walking now.
Okay.
You keep the podcast running until I get there. We'll
All
see. We'll
right.
just time it like we'll just straight up time. it. uh, I was less engaged with the second half, but part of it was because I was trying to remember all these new characters. Like these are characters that are important and play an important role, but not for very long. Like I feel like we lose a lot of these people in episode 2,
Yeah.
episode 3, and episode 4, or they come back later. Um, so I was a little less engaged than the very clean first half. But what did you think?
I mean, so like, I guess this would be my at least third time going through with all these characters. So like, I know
Sure.
who all these people are and like where they end.
Yeah.
I will say though, like, I love Anna Torv. Like, she was on a show called Fringe
Yeah, she's great.
back in the day, and like, I think she's a great actress. Like, like I had heard she got cast as Tess, and I know what happens to Tess, and I was like, maybe it's different in the show.
You saw the news about you're like Anna Torv. She runs the cast of Last of Us. You're like, that's great. And they're like as Tess, and you're like, did you ever see Mindhunters? She's in that too.
I did not see Mindhunters. I did know she was in it though, but
I would
I have
recommend.
not
It's very
watched it.
good. Yeah, I mean, Fringe is great too.
So like Tess, Marlena, she's in the game and actually played by the same actress
Yes, very
in the
cool.
game. Like they're like so watching the show initially, like I was like, well, how are they going to break it up? Like, how are they going to break out the game into like episodes? Like, how like is it going to be like is the first game going to be like 2 seasons? Because the game takes like maybe maybe like 12 to 15 hours to complete. I think.
Okay. So they must have cut some stuff.
Well, it's mostly gameplay.
Yeah, turns out it's me mixing.
Basically, yeah. Like the old combat stuff, like and like I didn't really miss it because like
Sure.
it's not a game. Like you're watching these characters, so like you don't have to watch them like shoot at clickers or like other people for like an
Yeah.
hour.
um, and there are parts later on in this series where I'm thinking about when they're going through the hotel,
Mhm.
and like the high-rise hotel that's whatever, that feel very video game like, or like there's a point where they first encounter the clickers, and I was like, oh, this feels like a video game where they're trying to be sneaky and stuff. Was there a part in this episode, and maybe we should do this for each episode, but was there something here that was very much a video game feeling or moment or
So like I feel like in this section of the game that they're in episode one, like there's nothing really like video gamey. Like so like you go to Robert and you're the one who kills Robert.
oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
because
there's a whole shootout. Like
geez,
so
okay.
that's in the game. I think the way they did it in the game is much, or the in the show is much cleaner.
Oh sure.
How it's like Robert and Marlena, like they're fighting, and then that's how like both parties get injured and or one gets killed. But yeah, so like I think the part that mimics the video game most is the actually the opening when Sarah's in the car in the truck with Joel and
Looking all over the
Tommy.
place. Okay.
Yeah,
Are there things you do in that, or can you just look around?
you're just looking around at that point.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool. Here in my notes, it says still have cans of paint. I also wrote down I need the bag back. Got the biggest laugh for me from this episode. Joel's delivering drugs to somebody,
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and he's like, I need that bag back. And it's just like that. Everything's precious. Apply.
Well, they have plenty of cans of paint, but not very many plastic bags. The ones
Yeah.
that zip up, come
Yeah.
on.
I gotta look this up now. Maybe like the Benjamin Moore warehouse is in Boston, but certainly not the bag warehouse. So after that, they really dive into Ellie. And the one note I have for her here is that is she a Clerks fan? Because there's a point where she yells, "I'm not even supposed to be here," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Today,
Yeah.
like Clerks?" But no, she wouldn't have been able to see Clerks. Would Clerks exist in this world?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
because
okay.
like,
Definitely,
Clerks
it's like
was, like,
10 years earlier.
90 something?
Right, and when does the disaster happen? In 2001?
2003.
Okay, so Clerks exists. She would have been not alive to see
Yeah.
it, but it's out there. I think she needs to find it.
I mean, like, I don't like so, like, I'm thinking about, like, stuff that is now happening in the second game, which I won't
Okay,
spoil,
no spoilers.
but, like, Boston probably doesn't have a movie theater, like, a working movie theater. They have movie
Oh,
theaters.
do they not have electricity in the game?
There is
Or
electricity, but they probably don't have movies. They certainly don't have a print of Clerks 2 or Clerks showing the movie theater.
Clerks 2 wouldn't exist. The viewers would end at Jersey Girl. Okay. Um, I have a note for Wall Fungus Man because that was very visually entertaining and a really good way to see the creatures. And then the songs.
The songbook
Yeah.
with
Is
the
that
60s and
is that
70s.
difficult to figure out in the game? Like, or is it similar? Like,
That is not in the game, I don't
oh, okay.
think, as far
I
as I
guess it would
remember.
be hard because they're like they play an 80s song and they're like, we have to clear the rights for this. I guess video games clear rights for songs all the time. Like all the Grand Theft Autos have a million songs on them. So
Yeah, they do, but at that time, like, so Naughty Dog is the developer of The Last of Us, and they've done Uncharted. I don't know if there's any, like, and Last of Us was like kind of a not a not a sleeper, but like it was definitely is not as popular as it is now.
okay. Even
It's a
when
good
the
game,
show
but
first
like
came out, like it wasn't a popular game. I thought it was huge.
it was a popular game when like by the time the show came out, but like
Now
when it
it's
first came out, it's just like it was a new IP. It was in like something
sure.
that people knew already. So like
So they weren't going to
spending that money to
blow
clear the music.
money on. Yeah, it'd be funny if the first Grand Theft Auto had a bunch of bangers in it. So it's 80 songs for if something's bad, and if you were in control of that, what song would you play to warn somebody of danger?
An 80s song. I don't know. There's a lot of good 80s songs. I don't know like how on the nose
Yeah,
you want to be with that.
yeah. Like, is there an 80s song about the passageway is dangerous?
I'm sure there is.
80s songs about danger. Let's do a quick search.
Highway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna close this window right now because it's not gonna get better than that. Oh my god, can you imagine? Turn on the radio. I gotta see if the passageway is safe. Way to. Yeah, that'd be pretty bad. That'd be pretty bad. There was another question I wanted to ask you. Um, if you had to choose a way to die, would it be from old lady Adler sucking your face off, plane crash into a city? Oh my god. Shot in a field, or gently lied to, poisoned, and then thrown onto a fire. What's if you're gonna die in this first episode, which character do you want to die as?
I mean, I think like gently lied to, and then like
It's the best. That's how I want to go in real life. Throw me on the fire. It's great. That's a great way to go.
I can provide heat to people.
So coming up in the series, like, what's the next phase? Like, it's still them on the move. Um, and we haven't seen any bonding between them yet, but obviously we shouldn't until the second or third episode. But I am excited to be doing this rewatch. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Try try to think if there's anything else that I thought while watching the episode. I don't know. Like thinking about like like again going back to like how it compares to the game. Like I remember thinking like it is very faithful to the game, and like the additions they did like were great. Like nothing like
Yeah,
really took away from what was in the game, and like in a lot of cases it like improves what was in the game.
sure.
The time jump is different though, because like it I think the outbreak starts in 2003 in the game as well, but
Okay.
because the game came out in 2013, that's
Oh,
where the game starts in the
okay.
present day, I believe.
And
Um,
it has to be 20 years in the future, so it's 10 years in the game.
It's 10 years in the game, 20 years in
Ellie's
the.
alive when the outbreak happens,
Yes.
but not in the show.
Yeah. Oh no.
No, there must be a reason.
I did actually like. I was curious. I was like, that was around the time that I like we were still doing another video game webcomic. I was like, did I review Last of Us? And I did.
You did? Did you like it? You must
I
have
did
good.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I was more curious what the comic was.
Oh, was it?
So
Okay.
it's player one as Joel. He's talking to I forget what like who it is because I don't have it in front of me, but like he's talking to another character. He's like talking about like how like it's just weighing on him like having to kill all these things. And the character is like, well, why don't you imagine them as something else? And panel two is him beating up Pac-Man with a
I
two
love
by
that.
four.
With a 2x4. I like it. That's fun.
And then like the third panel is like he's like, why were they all Pac-Man? And why am I Ellen Page? Because like I think before The Last of Us became finalized, like Ellie's character looked a lot more like Ellen Page than she does in the final game.
Yeah.
Ellen Page now Elliot Page.
Right. What do you think of the casting for the show?
I mean, I think it's great. Like, I feel like Pedro Pascal does a really like spot on like Joel voice.
It's a specific thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's a specific accent. Like it's like because I think they're in Texas at the beginning of the
Yeah.
at the beginning of the episode. So it's kind of like a Texas-y accent. I thought Bella Ramsey as Ellie is great. She's like it's very Ellie is the only way I guess I can explain it. She's very like I don't even know how to explain it. Like
She ticks all the Ellie boxes.
yeah. But yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about this first episode?
Um
This deluxe 2-hour episode.
I don't think so. I think it's like I liked where they ended it off with the right outside the wall and getting scanned
Yeah.
and then like finding out because you don't find out until the very end that Ellie has been bitten, I think, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that she turns up as infected.
Well, I can't wait to see episode 2. Again.
Yeah.
It's been however long, whatever, 2 or 3 years. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm psyched. It's gonna be great.
I think it will be.
And we should end it there, right?
I think
Take one
so.
more bite.
All right. I still have all of this donut left. I took one bite.
It's good that we weren't. Yeah, that's how it should be.
I
One
didn't even
bite in
get
the
to the
beginning.
cream yet.
One bite in the beginning, one bite at the end. What is it? How does she phrase it? We're doing the donut.
Taking the donut.
We're taking the donut. Taking the donut with both hands. We're taking 2 donuts. We're getting a whole mess of donuts.
We're getting a baker's dozen of donuts.
All right. Episode 2. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.